time.
Hey all of you out there in Eorzea, welcome to She Heals, I Tank, your weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. Today is Friday, March 27th, and this is episode 211 of the Shit Podcast. I'm your host, Vegan Pete, and always by my side, the wonderful, the lovely...
Hey guys, Avi Ale here. How you doing?
I'm good, Avi. Thank you for being here.
You didn't give me a new,
I added wonderful.
Is that new? Kind of weak.
You haven't been wonderful lately, so I decided to throw it in.
I've been freaking amazing lately. What are you talking about? I'm like the hipster housewife of your dreams.
You have pierced nipples?
Why does that have anything to do with it?
You said of my dreams.
Oh, yeah, no, that's not happening.
And a big thank you to everyone joining us here live at twitch.tv/SheHealsITank. It's been a rough week, so I'm glad to have this hour or so of fun times with you all. If you're new to the show, first off, welcome. Glad you found us. If you're listening via the podcast, via iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, whatever podcast app you're using, hit that subscribe button and the next podcast will find you. And if you didn't know, we do the show live here at Twitch every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard or Daylight Time, whichever time of the year it happens to be. Hit that follow button on Twitch so you know when we're live. And if you end up liking the show, then please tell a friend and consider subbing. You got awesome emotes like Avi has made the newest shitheads. I'm just going to call them all like the shithead line.
Sure.
Shithead line of emotes.
The shithead family.
Which ones just came up? Which ones did you
upload? We got
upload?
Shits and Giggles, who is a very happy little shithead, and we got Bullshit, who is a very angry little shithead.
Couple of brand new emotes for you to use.
Holy Shit coming soon, who's just like so excited and in love with what just happened that they're like, holy shit.
So if you sub, you get access to these emotes.
I love them. I love them so much.
You make Avi very happy when she sees them in chat.
I'm like very proud of these. Like they are looking really, really cute. So.
And it helps us keep the lights on here. And you would be in great company like these amazing people who subbed last week. We have Nessa Elika for her first time sub. Alicant, 2 months. Nomad NP, 6 months. Adlin, 7 months, Voxna7, 10 months, KK McLeod, 22 months, and Eskimono Phono hitting that 2-year mark at 24 months.
Woo-hoo. And I do think it's all chalant Pete.
You may think that, but like many names that I have dubbed our listeners.
It's true. I'm wrong on a lot of the names.
Cater Pants and Pisky Games.
I don't think that's how they're supposed to be pronounced.
They have accepted it, and hopefully Alkalant will as well.
Okay.
Thank you again for all the support. We really appreciate it. We have a fun show for you tonight. We got a new seasonal event to talk about, all the latest Final Fantasy XIV and news and discussion, and as always, we're taking your calls. If you've got an experience you've had in Final Fantasy XIV lately that you want to talk about, feel free to call in. All you got to do is join that Discord, hop in the On Deck channel. We'll bring you live on air, and we will see what you've got to say. Maybe you've got a bad dungeon run that you just want to get off your chest, whatever you want to talk about.
Dungeon.
Or something really good. Maybe you finally beat the housing countdown timer and you got lucky. You were able to buy your first house. Whatever you've got going on, we want to hear what you have.
Or if you're playing Animal Crossing and you made a really cute Final Fantasy XIV glamour that you just want to talk about, I've been seeing a lot of those too. Still counts.
And then I will take your call and hang up on you.
No, it still counts. Still counts.
But let's kick it off with everyone's favorite segment.
Greenleaf Minute.
It's the Greenleaf Minute. And this week, I want to talk about something that the Lodestone site alerted me to this week, Avi.
Ooh.
It's now made it really easy to figure out where the vendors are to spend your tomestones. And I noticed this while I was looking at my character profile on the Lodestone this week, and it shows you the amounts of tomestones that you currently have when you're looking at like your currency tab for your character. And now it comes up with a message that said, new. A link to vendors whose currency can be used has been added. So now when you click on a tomestone that has more than one merchant,
a scrip.
That you can spend them with. It will list all the merchants that you can go to spend those tomes or scripts. And this is pretty handy for a tome like Poetics, where you will be going to different vendors depending on the level of gear that you want to have for that specific character.
Mm-hmm.
And if the tome only has one merchant, then you only need to hover over it, and a little pop-up help bubble will tell you the one vendor to go to. And for outdated tomes like Tomestones of Gosha, it will tell you where to exchange them for the newer tome. And this feature was also working with crafting, gathering, and skybuilder scripts, hunt seals, and nuts, MGP, bicolor gemstones, whole bunch of stuff. So chances are if you ask your FC, like, where can I spend this, someone's going to know. But in case they don't, you can always head on over to the Lodestone.
Or now you can be the person who answers them because you've got the Lodestone open, and you can just be like, boom,
you memorize
go to
that
so-and-so. I don't memorize shit. You just have, as long as you can find the information, that's all that matters. You know where to find it. That's just as important as knowing it.
And I do want to say, it's really cool logging into the Lodestone if you've never done it before with your character, so you can see all the stats that your character has. You can go through all the mounts and minions that you have.
You can almost like see how other people see your character.
Yeah, I suppose that's the way of thinking of it.
That's how I think of it. Fully.
But it's just a more central place to find all the information that you can find in game, but you have to go to all these different menus and stuff to get to. And you know, all these sites that are like FFXIV Collector, where they'll show you all the mounts and minions you have, they're all pulling from the Lodestone.
Yep.
That's where they're getting all their information. So all that information is on there. Just got to go learn the Lodestone a little bit.
Okay, I'm being a dork, but I really love all you guys using my new emotes. You've made me very, very happy. I'm glad you guys like them.
All right, now Avi's favorite segment. It's the tweet of the week. It is the tweet of the week, and this one comes from Sephiroth. And they say the unofficial stance from the Crucible is that we hope you come through this all right, and also that we find venting by writing terrible comedy. Just objectively really bad comedy that can't make anyone laugh, and then erasing and rewriting till you laugh at it is a bad idea.
I think it's a great idea.
So,
anything that makes you feel better or kind of like not think about what's going on and gives you peace, I think is a wonderful idea. Little background on that. I did tweet out that this week was my last full week of work, being furloughed next week. And then if things don't turn around, then I am officially laid off. Right, which is actually very, very common right now. Yes, a lot of people are going through it. Yeah. And so this was in response to that. I will say I still consider myself lucky. I've been in the position that I have been able to save some money, so I am good. Oh, I thought you were just going to say that I got a girl who works for the government who isn't going to get fired. I'm super lucky. That too. But, so there are people in much dire situations than I am. So, it's perfect use of the bullshit emote. So I appreciate all the support. Love it. And well, not that, the emote. Thank you all so much. You made my week a lot more bearable. It really did. It was very sweet, you guys. I'd be like, if you're feeling down, babe, maybe you should look at Twitter. Twitter's being really cool. Should have been on Twitter more. You should have. I was concentrating a little too much on my job this week, trying to save it. He really was. And kind of burned myself out. It was moot. Anyway, let's get back into the show. Moving on to more fun things. News and notes from around the realm. We are about ready for our next seasonal event. And before we get to it, Pete has a little bit of a confession to share with you guys. Last event, the Little Ladies' Day. Yeah. The first event in probably at least 4 years that I did not do. Ooh. It kind of just slipped my mind. Mm-hmm. When it started, I was on a little long weekend vacation in Vegas. That's right. Where I luckily didn't get the coronavirus. Lucky for me. And then, like, when we got home, it kept on slipping my mind. And I even told myself, little ladies. Told myself on multiple occasions, you have to do it by this date. You have to do it by this date. And then the other week, I was like, I forgot to do it. It happens. So I definitely want to make sure I'm paying attention to what you're saying, because I don't want to miss out on this event. Well, have you seen the picture for the Hatching Tide? Because that's the event we're going to be doing.
Vamp for a little bit because I forgot to add the pictures.
It's going to be released in 2 chapters, which kind of seems to be a theme with Square Enix lately. Chapter 1 starts on Monday, March 30th, which is this coming Monday at 1 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or Daylight Savings Time, whatever the frickin' heck, I don't know what to say anymore, and will last until Sunday.
We voted that we could tell our Senate to get rid of fucking Daylight Savings Time, and those fuckers haven't done shit.
Still haven't done it. But so from March 30th until Sunday, April 5th at 7:59. He didn't put PM or AM, so I'm assuming that's AM.
AM.
There you go. And chapter 2 is going to start on April 5th at 8 a.m. until Monday, April 13th at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So you will be able to pick up this quest at the amphitheater in Old Gridania from the Revelrous Rabbit, and it's called the Egth Umbral Calamity. You heard that right, Egth. That's Eggth. The little description reads, Hatching Tide is upon us once again, and the Revelrous Rabbit in Mikote's amphitheater would share the joy of this wondrous celebration with one and all. The rewards for this are a bunny suit glamour, as well as a stuffed rabbit tabletop furnishing and a Hatching Tide advertisement poster. The tabletop items are pretty cute. It's a white and a brown bunny sitting near a basket with little bits of carrots in them. And then the poster is the main girl whose name I'm blanking on, but she's got the striped leggings on, and she's like chasing after the Spriggan with an Easter egg. And it's pretty cute, or Hatching Tide egg. But now the image I was talking about with Pete, the other thing you get is this bunny suit glamour. And if you haven't seen like the preview for the Hatching Tide,
like the Hatching Tide advertisement, like the
Lodestone
the
link
poster on the Lodestone.
It is creepy AF. Like, this bunny looks like he's gonna murder your mom.
Like, I do not get like any sort of like freaked out by clowns or anything like that. Like Pennywise, I'm fine with.
I'm not.
This rabbit gives me fucking nightmares.
This is like Pennywise Rabbit.
He's looking into my soul.
He's gonna murder your mom.
He's going to bite you and kill you.
Rabbits
and
are also
maim
dicks.
you.
Anybody's ever had a pet rabbit? Me. They're dicks. They like to poop everywhere and then chew on your cables more than a cat does.
That a rabbit.
They're dicks.
It ate all of the peaches before they were ripe off the peach tree.
Dick. Rabbits are dicks. Except for Vieira, who are wonderful, like Amazonian female characters.
That's why you didn't get male Vieira.
This does not take the place of that, can I also say? I've seen some chatter about, oh, look it, you got your male Vieira. This is not my goddamn male Vieira, so don't even try to act like me getting some like campy-ass, freaky little scary bunny suit means like, oh, here's your male Vieira, shut up and be happy. No, you shut up and let me be unhappy. Just saying.
I agree. This is a scary-ass rabbit.
Creepy AF.
But I wouldn't mind if the males look like that.
Like the creepy little Easter bunny?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm okay with it.
Remember to take the image down?
Okay, Mom. Taking into account the spread of COVID-19 and the economical effects on various cities going into lockdown, Square Enix has decided to temporarily suspend automatic housing demolition as of March 26th.
Which is yesterday.
8:10 Pacific Standard Time. It'd probably be daylight time. This is effective on all worlds.
I always write PST.
And means the demolition counter will stop completely. If your estate is currently being prepared for auto demolition, you can cancel it by entering your property.
Now, I did see some rumors going around that Square Enix like messed up the housing demolition suspension, and that houses that shouldn't be up for demolition are up for demolition. I personally went into my private estate, and I did not get any sort of notification like this. I have been to my house within the past week, so I know I wasn't like in any risk of losing my home.
So what was the error that you were seeing in these screenshots?
It was that you leave your house and it goes, oh, your house is no longer up for demolition. You've now reset the timer. Basically saying that they started a demolition timer on houses that weren't part of that, like unintentionally set the timer. So the houses that they stopped the demolition timer on, the rumor was that they started them on. So I did not have that issue, but I wouldn't put against people like, I can't think of the words right now, I'm sorry, but I think you should go visit your house just in case. Is basically what I'm going to say, because
it couldn't hurt.
Because if you were at that point, you know, it'll still demolish your house if you were due for before that time. So go visit your house now.
And if you hear this and you say, hey, that means I don't need to visit my house anymore because everything's suspended, Yes, that is true.
Mm-hmm.
But once they eventually do re-implement the housing demolition, if you haven't re-entered your house since this, it's going to pick up right where it left off. So if you were at 30 days when it stopped, it's going to start back up at 30 days, and you only have that 15 days to enter your house again.
Also,
so don't sleep on it.
Also, if you own a house, you should make it a place that you want to visit. So we all have a bit more spare time on our hands. Maybe put some effort into.
Not everyone.
You've got a little more spare time because, in the evenings you necessarily can't leave. Most people got a bit more. So maybe make your personal house or FC house someplace that you want to spend time in. So that you can.
Make it your little quarantined heaven.
I'm essential as well. I am working from home, so I understand. Honestly, when I get off work, I haven't been wanting to sit at my computer. So I've been playing less, which is kind of odd because I guess computer at work versus computer at home is two different things.
It is a weird thing. I've noticed it as well.
Yeah, I don't want to be on my computer now when I'm home, so I've been baking bread and making cookies.
We've been going full crafting and gathering here, people.
IRL, guys.
I've been doing a little botany. I've been doing a little culinarian.
I cut down a tree.
I cut down a tree too.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of interesting.
Final Fantasy XIV has prepared us for the real life.
Guys, I'm so good. I'm a culinarian. Totally got this down. Oh, KK. If you need some yeast, I can send you some sourdough starter, honey. Send me a DM. You can make it all on your own from scratch. Old school stuff.
Sounds gross.
You're gross.
Give you a little yeast.
I'll give you some yeast, baby. All right, so Final Fantasy VII Remake statement. So obviously a lot of you are anxiously waiting for Final Fantasy VII Remake release, and you are worried about the release date with everything else going on right now. And therefore, the remake team posted the following statement.
Quote,
"As we prepare for the release of Final Fantasy VII Remake on April 10th, we wanted to keep you updated on how the proactive measures being taken to prevent the spread of the COVID-19 virus are likely to affect the distribution and retail landscape in Western regions at launch. As you are aware, many countries are limiting entry or closing their national and state borders, restricting the distribution and delivery of non-essential items. Understandably, these restrictions are being implemented so that essential items can reach their destination as fast as possible. This does not mean that box copies of Final Fantasy VII Remake will not be dispatched. It just means that we cannot control the date the game may arrive. In many countries and states, retail stores are closing to help with social distancing measures. If you placed a pre-order with one of these retailers, we advise you to check their websites for the latest information about the status of pre-orders as well as pickup and/or delivery information. Please ensure your mailing address and contact details are up to date, as some retailers have begun contacting customers with delivery updates. Finally, we are currently making arrangements to ensure that pre-orders from the Square Enix store reach you by April 10th. We are working hard to ensure as many of you as possible can play the game on April 10th, and will update further when we have more information. Thank you for your continued support, and most importantly, stay safe."
So hopefully all of you that pre-order physical will get that on the 10th. But I think we all have to be a little bit understanding in these times, and if you don't get it on the 10th.
I don't know, Chille's using that super awesome bullshit emote and saying that his order has now changed to shipping. And I
Well, wouldn't that be a good thing? We're still 10 days or 12 days away from the 10th.
At least it changed now instead of it's an early thing instead of, waiting till the last minute.
Or unless it changed from shipped to shipping. Then that would be a bad change.
Yeah, that would slow it down.
But if it went from pending to shipping, I think that's a good sign.
Or maybe he was going to pick it up and now he can't pick it up because now it has to be shipped. I'm not really sure.
Maybe you all have time to change your orders to digital, because digital will not be delayed. COVID has not gone digital yet.
Not yet. It's not that kind of virus.
We're still waiting. Might happen.
Your cybersecurity team is on the ready for it if things do shift. And that way we can make sure to control your computers and video game consoles as much as possible in preparation for the spread of this particular virus.
Chille's asking, did I miss the Mogstation items announcement? Yeah, no, you did not.
Because right now I'm about to tell you that we also have some new optional items added to the Mogstation. And I'm assuming by the fact that Pete forgot that one image, he forgot the other images.
I just did them all.
It was loud. So there is a mount called the Spriggan Stone Carrier. It is account wide and will cost you $24. What's interesting is Pete and I both actually we went and checked our characters because we're like, don't I already have a Spriggan mount? Is this one that we've already gotten in game and that they're just now giving us? And no,
I feel like there definitely had to be like part of the quest where we rode a Spriggan then or something like that.
Because I felt like I had a Spriggan mount. So you do not have a Spriggan mount, but if you want one, it's $24. But you only got to buy it once and you have it account wide. You can also get the Spriggan attire, which is from the previous seasonal event, which consists of a jacket, bottoms, and boots for $5. I do have to say it is a very cute glamour that dyes very well.
Oh, damn. That is why Chille wanted to know if we had got to it yet. He just dropped a code for the Spriggan mount account wide.
Chille's a baller, man. That's what happens when you can work from home. You can still buy those $24 mounts and drop the code in chat. Thank you, Chille. You are a sweetheart. If I was not the one recording the podcast, I would snag that right now. The authentic Archon egg pile house furnishing is $5, which is literally a pile of gigantic Easter eggs. You can get 5 authentic egg-centric drown roasts. Is it drown roasts? Did you write that correctly?
Maybe they killed a chicken. I don't know.
Pete has no idea.
Maybe they drowned a chicken.
That doesn't sound right. For $5, I'm trying to open the link. No, it's crown roast sets.
Crown roast.
I'm like, this does not sound right.
I thought they drowned.
It's not a drowned roast set. I love you.
I thought that's how you butcher chickens. I'm a vegan. What do you want?
Mama, drown me some
Just
roast.
drowned those
chicken.
motherfuckers.
It's horrible. No, you grab them by the neck and just spin them over your
Yeah,
head.
so much better.
You can also get... Sorry.
So I also prepare my lalas. Drowned.
Well, boiled potatoes are delicious. 5 authentic egg-centric chocolate cakes for $5. And they've got 2 new emotes. One is called Heel Toe, and it'll run you $7. It's a little like jig where you go heel toe. Looks kind of heel kicking, sort of line dancing kind of style based off of the image.
Yeah, I don't think I'd be getting either of these for $7.
And the other, which has a similar feel to it, very white boy dancey, is the Gooboo Doo. I think the Gooboo Doo is something you should have, Pete, because I feel like that's how you dance.
Gooboo Doo.
I'm gonna Gooboo Doo. No?
I want to Gooboo Doo with you.
I'm gonna Gooboo Doo with you all day long, baby.
What do you got for me this week, Avi? What do you want me to get right?
There are actually multiple choices for you.
Hell yes, this is where I excel.
Except they're the kind that you don't like, because it's the one, which one is it not?
Oh, that's bullshit.
I think you're gonna get it, though. I believe in you. So,
This is the ones where I talk myself out of the correct answer.
Usually. The Imperial Garlean army has engineered multiple types of war machina for use in battle.
Asians!
Which of the following...
Now start over. I was waiting for my joke.
You just not listen to me at all. The Imperial Garlean army has engineered multiple types of war machina for use in battle. Which of the following is not a war machina, or war machina, as I like to say, which I know is not how they say it? A.
I call it Machimima.
Stop it and listen. A. Juggernaut.
Juggernaut.
Like X-Men. B. Reaper. C. Shell Shock. Or D. Vanguard.
Which one is it
Do
not?
the sound.
Which one is it not, you said?
Yeah, Juggernaut,
If
Reaper,
I look at your,
Shell Shock,
if
or
I look at
Vanguard.
your screen, is the answer on it?
No, I know the answer because I made the question.
The only one that I remember is Reaper.
Okay.
I feel like Vanguard's probably one of them.
See, Aurora just said Machina is the correct pronunciation, except that in game I've heard them say Machina. So, yeah.
When you said Juggernaut, I immediately thought of X-Men.
I know, right?
Shell Shock. All I know is that's what the English people called PTSD. But I can feel like that would be like a stun machina.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, are you tricking me? You trying to get me to go Juggernaut?
Totally.
Like a Vanguard is definitely, that seems like it could be like one of the frontline machina. Like you're in the Vanguard. That seems like something Final Fantasy 14 would do. But to me, it's between Shell Shock and Juggernaut.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Juggernaut.
Is that your final answer?
My final answer.
You are wrong.
Damn it.
It is
Shell Shock?
Shell Shock.
Fuck!
I actually thought you were going to get this one right. But I mean, you've gotten a lot of them right recently, so I think it's about time you got one wrong. I thought that was actually a pretty good question.
Talked myself out of it.
Juggernaut, I actually chose that as one of the multiple choice because of the reference to X-Men, and I felt like you could be swayed either way because it's a familiar name outside of it.
So Aurora,
which is why I reminded you of it.
Aurora is saying that the Vanguard are actually people.
What?
Not a machina. Like it's like the Garlean Vanguard.
Aurora, if you look in the Eorzean Encyclopedia version 1, there is actually also a war machina that is called the Vanguard. So yeah, you need to.
Are we gonna have to fact check?
They're kind
this?
of pointy looking, and they got like the pointy arms and the pointy heads. There are Vanguards as well as Reapers.
Coneheads.
Yeah,
that should be the next race.
Okay.
I love the Coneheads.
So it can also be a people and the name of a war machina, however you want to say it. I think machina sounds way better.
All right, Avi.
All right, Pete. Sounds like R.I.P.
I know. I've been saying that for a while. One thing I've been noticing as I log on this week is that there has always been a queue whenever I log on.
Every single time.
While I'd love to give Square Enix all the credit in the world for this, I have a feeling it's more due to all the shelter-at-home orders that have been going on and increasing here in the States as well as other parts of the world as well. Obviously, the overlying situation sucks, but I'm glad to see that our people are heeding the warnings and staying at home when they can socially distance themselves.
As OCops in chat says, in all caps, everybody is leveling up. Just people leveling up.
And Final Fantasy XIV has a really good community for the most part, so I think it's awesome that people are coming together and finding support in each other in the game. You all have definitely helped me out a lot this week, whether it was keeping my mind off of things with some rating or the kind words on Twitter or during a stream. So thank you so much for that. Have you noticed anything different? Like you were talking about for you personally, since you've been working at home, having to stay at home, being in front of your computer all day, you've actually been probably logging in less.
Yeah.
And I actually kind of noticed the same thing too. Like, I was able to log in a little bit while I was working to hit the occasional gathering node.
Yeah.
But other than that, like at the end of the day, I wasn't super excited to log in. I was more like, I need to get out of this fucking room.
Yeah, and I actually, there were a few days I started work, so I'm using a work laptop, so I'm having to set my laptop on my desk with my desktop. And I would have my desktop on, and all I was able to really do while I worked was like check my retainers, simple stuff like that. And then I started moving the laptop into the living room, hoping that maybe I'd want to play in the afternoons, because if I separated myself, maybe I'd want to sit at my desk in the evenings. But still, I don't know. I feel like I've been sitting so much because I have a standing desk at work where I can sit or stand, and I have to go out and like help people. And so home, it's like you're just sitting, and when I'm done, I just feel like I need to like move.
Yeah, and me for lunch, I would usually walk for an hour, but now like I'm making lunch instead of just either having brought it with my
you're having to take the time to make
my
it.
Desk.
Yeah.
So it has been quite the adjustment. And this is the part of the show where if anyone wants to call in and tell us what you've been dealing with, how, if COVID's been affecting your life at all, maybe it hasn't, maybe you're just super excited to tell us something that you've done in game. Whatever you would like to talk about, we want to hear your feelings about how you're doing right now. So
there was a user in Discord, Usha, I believe, said that they actually are a supervisor for a company that had to give out furlough orders to the employees, and they were sharing how difficult it was for them to have to give this information out, have to give this news to the employees, and how much like the higher ups at the company didn't seem to really care, and that the higher ups almost just like, well, everyone's just going to come back when this is all done, not realizing that these people are going to have to go and look for other jobs, and they're not necessarily all coming back. And I really appreciated getting that other outlook, because you only think about the end of it all that you're seeing, and it's good to hear that other perspective.
My furlough was described to me as being able to take a little vacation.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Wow. You're like, I want to say some words to you that are not appropriate right now.
And it's like, yeah, okay.
Thanks for that.
At least while I'm on vacation, I can send out those resumes.
You're welcome. Yeah, that's basically what that is. Oy. Anyways, so yeah. Do you think maybe this weekend you'll start playing, Pete, some more? And if so, what do you want to do in game?
I think it's very important for me to not play too much. I can definitely fall into that thing. I am planning. I want to do like a little morning talk show type thing. So I think if I'm streaming, I am going to be doing a more talk show, just chatting type thing.
Okay.
In the mornings, I'm going to try to wake up a little bit early.
Write another outline.
Get some of the latest news stories of the day. Be a little lighthearted. It's not going to be too serious.
So not Final Fantasy news, but just like world news.
It's just going to be hopefully some uplifting stories
just
that I can find.
Just kind of like a way to socialize.
That, and I find the other entertainers very soothing. Like some of the podcasts I listen to, some of the radio stations I listen to. Quite soothing. Okay. And if I can help pay that forward a little bit, I would like to do that.
That's like me in cooking right now.
If anyone's in the same situation as me, I would like to do that. So I'm thinking maybe, we'll start off with an hour or two and see how that goes. And hopefully it's a good time.
So you're thinking Sunday mornings? Your Sunday morning?
No, I'm thinking about every morning.
Oh, now that you're on furlough?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But you just mentioned something. You talked about cooking.
Yes.
And I was watching Elton Brown's YouTube channel this week, and he was doing a little thing where no one at the studio was there because they're all at home.
Right.
And he was doing his little own thing with one cameraman. But it reminded me of another interview, and I think it was during Hot Ones with Elton Brown, when Sean Evans asked him, when did the cooking channel really take off? And his answer was actually after 9/11, because people needed that soothing thing to relax into.
Food.
I would not be surprised if cooking channels as well become very popular again.
I was gonna say, actually, when I first started, when I would sit in the living room and I was working from home, I put on Great British Bake Off episodes I've already seen. Because I found that I was like, I've seen this, I know it, and I've been putting on. We finally started our Disney Plus subscription, and I've been putting on Disney movies that I've already seen. I'm old school animated girl. I've been watching all those just because it keeps me happy, and I've seen them, and so I can work while they're on, and it's just kind of this mellow, happy.
She wasn't around before they even had audio in them. It was just silent animation.
There were no, not the movies. That was only shows, you turd. Aurora, honey, I have already watched Gargoyles. I used to own the Gargoyles board game on VHS. So anybody else who remembers that shit, Gargoyles.
Board game on VHS?
There was a board game that you had a VHS tape, and then you would move, and then you had to play the tape, and then the Gargoyles would tell you what you had to do next. This was cutting edge stuff, you guys. It was amazing, and I loved it, and Gargoyles is badass. And honestly, if you go to IMDb Gargoyles and see all the people who are in it, it's freaking amazing. Chille remembers that. Taylor remembers that. Aurora remembers that. Thank you, guys. See, Pete, you're just dumb.
I'm just from a different generation. I don't know what you want me to say.
It's a lot of Star Trek actors, Next Generation. It was a really great show. But yeah, I'm not willing to watch Gargoyles while I'm working because I loved that show so much that I have to watch that and give it my full attention. I literally just want to rewatch that. And then once I've rewatched it again with full attention, I can go back and just put it on in the background. But it's been too long to not fully dedicate effort to that. I was fully an after school special. Honestly, and I just saw that they've got the X-Men series on Disney Plus. That was my Saturday morning jam, you guys. I freaking loved X-Men cartoon. Yeah, so I'm excited to watch all those. But yeah.
A lot of time to spend at home now.
Lots of time.
Is what we're trying to say.
Good time to start Disney Plus free trial. You've been putting it off. And yes, we did start Mandalorian, so you don't have to ask that. I had to fight Pete for that one, but we've started it. Finally.
And like we just told you a little bit how that's affecting us. Like it's been weird that we haven't wanted to play as much as we probably thought we were going to.
Yeah, I thought I was
beginning.
so gonna that's all I was gonna be doing.
So it probably is going to be affecting everyone in a different way. And I just want to like put it out there that like this show will be a time for you. If there is something getting to you and you just want to talk about it, the show is going to be a place for, the near future that you're going to be able to do that. We're willing to put a part of the show aside for that to make sure everyone's doing okay.
Yes.
And if you ever need to get something off your chest, feel free to call in.
And I do want to say a big thing. Sorry, we're going to get off the COVID thing, but don't feel guilty if you're eating crappy. Don't feel guilty if you're drinking more alcohol than normal. Don't feel guilty if you're doing these bad habit things.
I feel guilty.
No, because
I was like, I should go outside and jump rope.
But because I think that there's a lot of emotions to deal with here. Even if you're not upset about it, even if you're not responding in that kind of a way, you're still processing this stuff in your own way. And if that is eating cookies for breakfast, or if that is having a beer every day, like, that is okay. Don't be down on yourself on top of everything else that's going on for how you are coping. So be okay coping with however you choose to cope. If that's playing Final Fantasy 14 for 18 hours a day, that's okay. Whatever you need to do to cope right now.
Try to get out of the house a little bit.
I don't know.
Yeah, you're going to get vitamin D deficient.
Open a window. You'll be fine. But just like, it's not your permanent, just do what you need to do to cope right now. And I think that's okay.
Do what you got to do, but try to get outside it. The fresh air is good for you. A little bit of sun is good for you.
Just a little bit.
Try to move around and lift something heavy. All right, let's get back onto some Final Fantasy 14, Avi. One thing that I think would have got me to log on was if we had relic weapons right now to work on.
Oh, you would?
And that is something that I was really wishing we had this week.
Okay.
And I don't think we're going to be waiting too much longer for this. It's supposed to be coming in patch 5.25.
That is very cool. Very soon.
Damn, I wish there was a little bit of a mindless grind for us to work on right now.
I think people do need, I think that's why Animal Crossing is so popular right now. I know I mentioned it earlier and you don't really want to talk about that, but I feel like it's the most perfect time for a mindless game that takes a lot of time to come out. And Final Fantasy 14, like, to release content like that right now would just be wonderful for people, because they just, I know that's all I really want right now, is just like that simple thing to do that's not gonna take a lot of like stress or energy to do.
I will say, when it does come out, I hope it's more like a Realm Reborn relic or Heaven's
not Eureka
Ward relic than it is like Eureka.
I think everyone hopes that. Everyone hopes that.
Even though I did that first part of Eureka and I got through it pretty quickly and it wasn't too bad, joining a hunt train, which is basically what Eureka Animos was.
Yeah.
It's not very relaxing. Like, it's you're constantly moving. You're killing mobs to spawn other mobs.
So like, as I just said, wanting something mindless to do. That wasn't mindless.
I wouldn't mind if they introduced a book and I had to camp an area and just chat with the FC for a while. And I know you're always going to say, you did that for me. You did it for like 2 of them.
I did it for the 2 worst ones. Like the ones that were like 5 times as worse as everything else you did. Like,
I don't know. But that's what I'm kind of hoping we get.
I hope it's old school as well. Older school with the like
I think there are enough people that didn't like books that we're probably never going to get those again. But I think people need to reevaluate.
I liked the idea of having to do fates to gather things. I liked that the old ones used to combine so many different elements of the game. Like, you did fates for part of it, you had to go and do like raids for part of it, you had to do trials for part of it, so all of it required a different element of the game to create your relic weapon. I like the idea of you have to play all of these different parts of the game to create this ultimate weapon, which is what the relic is supposed to kind of encapsulate and become, instead of go and farm this one place over and over and over again and you get this ultimate weapon, which it doesn't feel
that
like a relic.
Another big thing. Like, I did not like spending all that time in the same place, just going from notorious monster to notorious monster.
Very few people did. Some people did, but very few people did.
Like, the only part that even interests me is Baldesion Arsenal, and I keep on telling myself I should grind through
That
it
mount is so cool.
just to get to it, but I go in there for half an hour and I go, this is fucking awful.
Nah,
I don't want to
good.
do this.
I don't even get that far. I go, ooh, that mount's so pretty. I would love to do that to get it.
You're like, I'll wait for the Mogstation.
Kind of.
Maybe it'll be added eventually.
You know?
$45,000 account wide.
Oh, is that all? Okay, we're good. It's fine. It's only like a year's salary.
That's what inflation will be like after this is all over.
Oh my god.
All right, so that's one thing I was really wishing we had this week while I was stuck at home.
All right.
Another thing that I played around with a little bit was the new expert recipes. And I found myself overall being happy with like how they were implemented.
Okay.
Like I liked the different statuses that they had and having to actually pay attention when you craft. That part I really liked. The part I didn't like was that we were doing it just for Restoration of Ishgard, and it didn't have, there was nothing that we could make like better gear with.
Oh, so like all, because I don't craft, as you guys, if you listen, you know. So these expert recipes that they like put this effort into making them harder only applied to them.
It was for like getting more scripts.
There was like no actual recipes outside of the restoration that were this way.
Not that I saw. Maybe I missed some, but I looked through everything, and
hopefully now
saw.
that like this was kind of their test of it, and they'll be able to implement that going forward with the some of the more difficult recipes to do.
Because as soon as I saw that, I was like, well, I guess I'll play around with it, and I'm glad I did, because I came to the conclusion that I did like the way it was implemented, the crafting itself.
Yeah.
But for as what we were doing it for, I didn't care about getting on a leaderboard.
If you do, that's great.
Who's got time for that?
Some people do, no, but that's
I know,
great.
that's what I'm saying. Some people do, but for a lot of people like ourselves, I just don't have the time.
Most of the items that you get with this script can be bought on the market board. So as someone who doesn't have fun doing this kind of content, I do appreciate that I have the ability to buy it off the market board. But I also feel bad for those people who put that effort into putting this, like, so much work into grinding the script. But I think that Square Enix logic in putting it on the market board was likely a way to keep people doing the content. Because if you do it once and you get everything from it, there's no reason for you to keep doing it. But if you do it and you can sell things on the market board and make gil from it, it'll encourage you to keep doing that content.
Yeah.
And so I think the idea behind that was to keep people actually playing it and doing those recipes to make gil.
And I assume there's eventually going to be like another season, just like there are seasons of the feast.
Oh, yeah.
And they have said that if you've won before, you can't win again. So maybe, during like season 69, I'll be able to finally get on the leaderboard or something like that in 69th place.
I think, so what you're saying, Pete, is you're going to shoot for 69th place.
I'm going to shoot for 69, baby.
It's his favorite.
But I really wish, like...
Not like, yeah.
It doesn't even have to be like a next like full tier of gear that I wanted from expert recipes. But I thought it would be neat, like, maybe if you do a certain quantity of expert recipes, you would unlock like another guaranteed spot on like the melding like materia for your crafting gear.
Okay.
So like, because anyone that doesn't craft or gather, you're probably like, well, that doesn't sound like a big deal. Like we meld all the time.
For me.
But for like crafters and gatherers who are
deal.
pentamelding and you blow up millions of dollars or millions of gil, one extra guaranteed slot would be pretty nice.
That makes sense.
So if that became
so like when you're crafting it, you want the possibility to get that extra slot. So
or
it's like the same gear, but if you put in that extra effort.
Or even if like they had it with like how they have it now where it builds scripts, if they also had a thing where like, okay, if you do this 100 times, you unlock your third guaranteed meld spot or something.
On one piece of gear.
On like your crafting gear. Like a crafting gear would say, this third spot unlocks if you craft this 100 times.
But
something
only
like
on
that.
your gear or something like that's equipped, or I don't know. They'd have to find some way. I don't know. That sounds interesting.
Just as it is right now, just getting on the leaderboards and getting Skybuilder scripts is not enough of an incentive for me.
That's because most of the script items that you buy are glamour related in a way, and you're not a glamour person.
That's not me. Even though I was so bored this week, I did make a glamour.
And I do count mounts and minions and stuff and housing items in that glamour box, because I feel like part of that, I mean, like, does fall into the glamour, the like making your character look cool, making your character's house look cool, aspect of things. And yes, I did just brush over that Pete made a glamour. He did, you guys. He made a glamour. Like, he actually asked my opinion on like dyes and stuff. It was cute.
And Broly asks, what if the expert recipe allowed you to craft the ornate version of a piece of gear? I thought about that actually, and it would have to be a lot of something. Like, you have to grind a lot of the expert recipe to be able. It can't just be like make one thing and then you unlock it. Because the expert recipes still aren't that hard. They just require you to actively craft. And I think even someone has come up with a glamour that will get you to like 100%, 80% of the time.
You mean a macro?
Macro.
You guys, he just said glamour. It's like in his brain.
Make a
becoming
macro
a thing.
that will get you to 100%, 80% of the time, roughly. So it's not that bad. Because ornate gear, if you don't know what ornate gear is,
Nope.
it's
I assume it's like really good gear.
It's some of the gear
super shiny
that you achieved from the Wondrous Tales.
Oh yeah, they had like the extra materia slots.
Yeah, so
look, I knew a thing.
It's like the best piece of crafting gear, but instead of having to blow a whole bunch of materia pentamelding, every slot was guaranteed.
Right. I remember that. They did, and they did have some. They had some gear that came out, new content, like the newer gear had extra slots.
Yeah,
but it's expensive.
Like the crafted tank gear or whatever is they have an ornate version of. But I will say, like, when you're pentamelding this gear as a crafter, usually the third meld you do, you're still using the top tier materia, and it only has a 17% chance to meld. But so roughly like 1 in 6 you should be succeeding on. But if you get into a bad streak, it can add up to a lot.
I've heard you complain, and there was someone in chat in FC, I don't remember who it was, it might have been Fen, I don't remember, somebody who was like, well, that's like 40 million gil or 40 materia like down the drain. It was like a lot, and I was just all, that's why I don't do that. I just don't.
I've been pretty lucky the last couple sets I've melded. I remember back in either Stormblood or Heaven's Ward, I spent a good like 7 million gil just blowing up materia trying to meld that shit.
You guys, I would literally leave the room. I would just be like, oh, Pete's trying to pentameld, time for me to get the hell out of this room because he's about to get grumpy.
Got to the point like I was only doing it just to do it. Like after that I was like, I ain't fucking crafting.
He was so mad. Just like, I'm gonna go bake some cookies. Peppa, I made vegan chocolate chip cookies.
I was just doing it to do it, man.
So yeah, it wasn't the best.
So as I was thinking about like how they could make the expert recipes a little bit better, like even though I didn't have that much time that I could actually play this week, I was thinking about it quite a bit. So this led me into thinking about a topic that we had discussed. I'm sure we've discussed this before.
What?
Set bonus gear. Like if you were to get like every piece of gear.
Are you going all wow on us now?
All piece of gear in a dungeon, you'd get a little set bonus.
Kind of like the Grand Company gear does.
Yes, but I was like, how could they make that a little more unique and change it up a little bit? And I thought you could start by not necessarily having to have every piece of gear to start unlocking bonuses on it.
Mm-hmm.
You could kind of have bonuses unlock better stats on gear based off achievements that you get. Like you, when you complete a dungeon for the first time, most of the time, there's a couple where you won't get this, but most of the time you get the mapping the realm achievement when you beat a dungeon. There's a couple early ones where if you don't do the full dungeon, you won't get it.
Okay.
But say you get that, and then like a piece of gear that you have from that dungeon gets a +5 its normal stats, whatever. And then the next one would be like, if you complete this dungeon as every role. So if you complete it as healer, DPS, and tank, you get +10 stats on that.
So they'd
piece
have
of
to
gear.
add a lot more achievements for that to work out, which I don't know the efforts involved in adding the achievements.
That's what has to be one of the easiest things.
I'm not
just to
sure.
add achievements.
I do know, so like ESO's big thing with gear is the stacking of stats. If you have one piece, it doesn't really do anything. If you have two, you get this bonus 3 pieces of the gear, 4 or 5, the more pieces, and then when you get like the max set, then you get like the final ultimate bonus. So there is the ability to have like sets that stack based on how many of those pieces you have.
Mm-hmm.
But again, like it is something the game is capable of because it is the Grand Company gear does have that feature, but I don't know that the effort involved in making that happen. I don't know that it would really So unless it was added to like the top tier level stuff, I don't see people actually really caring about it because leveling gear doesn't matter.
That is true, and that's like a part of the game where it's hard. Like I'm trying to think of ways to add replay value to dungeons.
Oh, that's relic weapon. The farming of the light. The farming of the light was to make,
and that's like forced replay. But I'm trying.
But
to think
that's what relic is. Relic is go back and do the shit you've already done before, and like prove that you deserve this super grindy thing.
What if the last one was like do the same dungeon 100 times and the piece of gear becomes dyeable?
Oy.
Would that get people to do it?
It would suck. It would suck a lot.
Is 100 too daunting? 50?
Oof. I mean, the mount I want the most in the game is the mentor roulette mount, and I just like I don't remember how many times you're supposed to do that roulette to get it, and I'm like, nope.
Chille saying speed run dungeon achievement. That was actually one that
fun.
I had written down. I was like, and it wouldn't be like a super. Like the one for the set bonus.
Yeah, it's 2,000. Thank you, Kay. You know,
the one for the set bonus, I wouldn't do like a crazy fast time or something, but it'd be like a respectable time.
You mean like 2,000 for a goddamn mount?
No, I'm talking about time, not amount of times. I'm like talking about.
I know.
Minutes.
I'm sorry. I'm still just upset about that mount. It's my She-Ra mount.
Actually, there was like 1 week where I did a lot of mentor roulettes and then I fell out of it.
It's horrible. I mean, like
I should just do when
I sound like a jerk, but like I appreciate being a mentor. Like I appreciate going in and helping people. I always want to try to help people, but mentor roulettes can get painful. Painful.
It's a mixed bag. It can be painful.
It can be fine.
When you get usually it's an extreme dungeon where extreme trial,
right?
Where no one wants to listen and you just bang your head up against it. Mm-hmm. And those ones suck. But I found when I was doing it for that week, I got a lot, and I mean a lot, of guild hests.
Oh, interesting. I think it would be easier if there was like they broke the mentor roulettes up in at least like dungeons and guild hests and trials and raids. Because I think if you're going into a mentor roulette, this totally shifted the conversation, and you're going into the trial as the mentor, you're expected to know that trial, and it may have been 2 years since you've done a trial, and you're expected to be able to help people, and you're like, I don't know.
There's a lot like that for me. I'm like, well, let's just fight it, see what happens.
I don't remember.
I'll try to remember from there.
And so I just would rather, like, if I can go into the dungeons, I pretty much remember the stuff from most of the dungeons, but the trials, sometimes I'm like, balls.
Yeah, most of the time I'll remember, but some are tough, especially when you're doing at like a respectable level, like you're not level syncing it, because a lot of new players, when they're going through trying to get all these trials done, your FC will just go, oh, let's unsync it, which is fine, just because you want to get people through that content,
right?
But you don't really learn any of the mechanics when you do that.
And as we're talking about the mentor, the mount that you get from it, it's 2,000 runs of the mentor roulette, and KK said if you did 10 of those mentor roulettes a day, it would still take you 6 months.
I've done the math, and that's why I was like, God damn.
That's why I don't do it. Honestly, like if they made it more approachable, I would do mentor roulettes for that mount. I would. If they made it 1,000. If they literally just cut it in half. Like 3, like that would be at least more approachable. But no, honey, no. Not even a casual raid. I'm not even gonna like approach that. I'm just gonna be like, nope, we good. Sorry.
I don't even remember like what extra bonus you get for doing it like once a day. I don't know if you get any tomes. I don't even know.
I don't even look at it. It's just like not. Well, I'm not a mentor anymore. I have to get my tank to 80. I think it's like 77 right now.
Damn, I even leveled my healers.
Yeah.
2 of them.
I don't like. What?
I got Scholar and I got Astro.
Look at you.
Or White Mage, something like that.
You don't even know
one
which
of them.
one.
I've got 2. I don't know which 2, but I've definitely got 2 of them.
Oy.
Just as many tanks as I do healers.
I'm so proud of you. All right.
So what do you think? Is there any future in maybe adding some stat bonuses to get people to replay dungeons?
I don't think so.
Don't think so?
No.
Chille said speedrun dungeons. I think that would be a fun achievement. Like every once in a while, I will unsync a dungeon, and whatever time I get on my first run doing that dungeon, I'll post a screenshot into our FC chat.
Yeah.
And say whoever beats that, I'll give 50,000 or 25,000.
That would
gil.
actually be a fun. I like how you do it in the FC, but like, what if you did that for? I'll give 1 million gil to whoever gets the mentor roulette mount first.
Hey, who do I look like? I'm not giving out 1 million.
Well, no,
gil.
but that's 2,000 runs. It's gonna take 6 months. So like, you're like little.
Yeah, but they might be at 1,700.
Well, no, you'd have to get their numbers beforehand or whatever. Like, I don't think anyone actually is in FC. But I just think that'd be hilarious. And thank you so much, Really Bad Professor, for that subscribe. Ooh, you're coming back to 14.
Hey, we got one back.
He chose 14 over WoW. Woo! Plenty to do in game, for sure. And KK just said to Pete, you got plenty of gil.
I've been furloughed.
I said gil. Gil, it means you're going to get more gil.
I've been furloughed from the game.
No. All right, moving on.
The last, like I said, this is a little bit of a weird week for me, so I didn't have like any like overarching big topic, but I had one more point. Oh, Alora for real. Thank you for 5 months as well. 5 months, just like Really Bad Professor of Twitch Prime subbing.
Lucky number
Thank
5.
you so much.
And Taylan says 14 is way better than WoW. I have played both, and I have to say I played 14 way longer than WoW, so I'm gonna go with an agreement there.
Have you done your / playtime in Final Fantasy 14 lately?
I can do it right now.
Someone in FC asked, like, what's the command for that?
197 days, 9 hours, and 3 minutes. And I do not AFK and leave my character on. Like, except for maybe like last week, like I said, a couple days when I was just checking my retainer. I am not one of those who just, like, that's active time.
I don't really do that either.
Yeah.
And I'm closing in on 300.
Ooh, yeah, you play a lot more than I do.
You definitely played more than me in the beginning. Like,
yes.
I'm surprised you were at as much as you are, to be honest. It's been more recently that you haven't been able to, or haven't had the urge, or haven't had the ability to play as much. With a real hot chili pepper at 370 days.
It's not a competition, Chille.
And Chille has like a whole bunch of characters spread out.
That's why he's got more time.
I wonder what it'd be if you added them all together.
Oh, that's per character?
I think it's just per character.
No, really? No.
I think it is.
No. I don't know. That's a Greenleaf Minute right there. No, that's one character.
That's one character.
Oh, honey. Wow.
He's been playing since 1.0.
No, but wow. Okay. That's his alt, then. That's his alt.
I'm closing in on 300. I'm going to get there. Last bullet point I had was adding better drops to dungeons.
I think they've been doing that with the unique housing items and the unique minions. That is something they've definitely been doing.
Do you think they have to maybe make it a little more rare, though?
No, they make them pretty fucking rare. Have you ever tried to not the minions, but the housing items? You ever try? I've ran a dungeon 6 times and didn't see a single drop.
I've gotten housing items. I haven't gotten minions.
Oh, but see, that's what I'm saying. I think they are pretty damn rare. I think they're good.
I tried to sell the housing items I got, and they sold for shit.
Okay, you're not farming for the right ones. Because the one that's like I can't think of the name of it, it's like a wall of plants. That one sells for quite a bit.
Well, maybe I just didn't get the right one.
No.
But the ones I've been getting have been crap.
And Really Bad Professor has a bit of news useful for the podcast. Shadowbringers is currently on sale for 40% off from the Square Enix store. However, if you want the PS4 version, it's only the physical copy, which means you will have to wait for shipping.
Hey, 40%'s 40%.
And remember, though, if you do play on Steam, that means you cannot buy the Square Enix version. You have to buy it through Steam, so this is only if you have the
That is correct.
Steam version. It's
Gotta
always so many
stick to
different
Steam
versions.
if you bought it on Steam.
Yeah, stay with whatever you started with. Or start over all over again. Well, not in the game, but just with whatever copy you're purchasing.
I also think it'd be nice for them to add early crafting items to the early dungeons. There's not too many of those. Like, the only one I can really think off the top of my head is the Daramite web, and that's not even used in very many things.
Wait, you want them to add more crafting items in dungeons?
Yeah.
Have they not done that for a while? They used to do that. Like, that was like way all like 2.0. Like, get you some leathers and some like.
They did some
bone chips. You gotta love them bone chips and the bat wings.
I think Snowcloak having some. But they would drop like She-Light and stuff like that.
But they don't. I don't feel like I've seen that much in the recent dungeons.
Not really. Thankfully, with some of the.
Chille says that people complain, and so they removed them.
Why are people complaining about that?
Because it fills up your inventory with crap that if you don't craft, you don't use.
Oh, so you're going to take away shit people can actually use, but you're going to add 3 million fish from ocean fishing.
It was a lot of fish.
And 3 million shit items from Diadem.
That you gather.
To fill up our inventory.
I know. I literally, they could have added 3 fish and 3 items to gather, and that would have been sufficient. Let's say 3 botanists, 3 miner. 3 fish.
But I think one of the things that I feel is a pretty constant that I see is people who aren't crafters and gatherers looking for a way to make gil as they're leveling up in the game.
Mm-hmm.
I thought maybe if you added a few crafting and gathering items to the dungeons that they'd be able to sell those drops.
I think honestly, like if you're trying to make gil while you're leveling up, for me, I always did a decent job by literally rolling on everything and selling whatever I could sell on the market board.
Yeah. And basically send your retainers out for ventures all the time. And turn in the gear that's untradeable for Grand Company seals and get what you can get that sells for a decent amount. And really, it's not making money ventures. That's a problem. It's keeping your money that's a problem.
Yeah, don't blow it.
If you have a glamour addiction, try to wean yourself off of that for a month and you probably end up with a bunch of gil.
The glamour addiction is fine, but just remember, you do not need to have the greatest, newest gear when it's new and great. If you just wait until it's almost last season, it's super cheap. Or marry a crafter.
Yeah, you just put a little personal on the Final Fantasy XIV Reddit looking for marriage partner who is crafter.
Yes.
Will put out.
No.
Will whore for glamour.
No, I was going to say will run you through unsynced stuff. Oh, no, Pete. Bad. No.
I thought it was a good idea.
No, it's a bad idea.
If you got to use what God gave you.
Yes, you're skilled to beat content while somebody else is good at crafting stuff.
Nah, I'm talking about them nuggets.
No.
Got to use what God gave me.
No, fully disagree. Moving on.
What are we doing?
Words. No.
That one?
No.
Oh, I don't have a sound effect for this one.
No. So I said words.
It's the community roundup, partner.
So this isn't really a community roundup. I meant to put this in as notes and then write a community roundup.
We got one question from Rensai. This could be a troll. I don't know. Hi, can you please help me?
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
I was going to let chat respond to that, Pete.
We can help you. Let's see what you got.
All right. So for the community roundup, that's not something we can help you with in podcast. We are recording a podcast right now, but if people in chat can help you purchase the game online, that would be wonderful. But we can't help you till we're almost done. We can try to help you. So the community roundup. This was just a silly thing that happened in Discord. Like I said, I meant to write something else up about this. It's something I thought was kind of cool. In our Discord channel, Ivory Mist, who's on Behemoth, asked if they could use our bank of Teaching Pete lore questions because their FC was hosting a trivia night. And I think that's really awesome. And I hope that you all had a really wonderful time and that everyone got the questions right. So because of that, you can now view all of the Teaching Pete lore.
Teaching Teats.
Teaching Pete lore questions. It's a Google Drive document, and I will share the link in the show notes. If the title of the question is green, he got it right. If it's red, he got it right, because Pete got them all right.
Got them all right.
Right. That's how you can tell.
There's a question. I got it right.
So, yeah.
All right. Some listener reaction this week. Most of it was everyone just being very nice to me after I posted that I was being furloughed next week. So
there's a lot of really kind words.
Thank you all for that.
We didn't want to read all those tweets.
We did have one from VOG Vegestilla who said, Ashley Hills, I think's great podcast. Hope you don't mind that I just lurked for it. We don't mind at all. Thank you
lurk too.
So much.
I
lurk a lot as well.
Yeah, I'm a big lurker.
Sometimes you got stuff to do. You just want to support.
It's
have
always
someone
weird.
Open and listen.
It's always weird when you lurk somebody and then you hear them start talking about you and you're like, wait, hi, I'm here. I have had that happen. All right, Pete, anything else you want to add to this week's podcast episode before I go into our outro?
I think that is it, Avi.
So on that note, that is going to be it for this episode. As always, we've enjoyed hanging out with all of you live here on Twitch. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. Be sure to hit that follow button so you'll know the next time we will be going live. And a great big thank you to everyone listening to the podcast through iTunes, Stitcher, Podbean. Which one came out yesterday that you told me about?
TikTok.
Oh, all right. That one. And whatever app you choose to listen to, you really are the reason we keep making episodes. And remember, wherever you do listen, it would mean a shit ton to us if you gave our little shit podcast a rating or a review, or come check us out on Twitch because we have these really awesome emotes that I'm putting a lot of effort into with all this free time. But more importantly, just tell a friend to check us out. Here with Vegan Pete, I'm Avi Ale, and we will talk to you next week. Goodbye.
Goodbye.